Greetings, this is Dr. Bill Becknell in Russia. And recently I was sitting at my kitchen window looking out into the playground, and I saw a round concrete play area for the kids. And there was a bench with the mother sitting on it, and the kids were playing around. And I started to think about circles and relationships, and I would like to share with you some information that I believe might be encouraging for you. As I was sitting and looking out the window, I began to think about circles of relationships. And here's what I discovered. If we can pretend that this here is you live in a circle by yourself. And I call this our selfie circle. We all have a selfie circle. This is where we live. We can do anything we want to inside of this circle because it's our circle. But it's important to remember that there are consequences for every choice that we make. So if we go a little bit farther beyond that with the children running and playing around in this circle, we find that we also have other circles like this one here. And this circle involves things like church and where we work, our co-workers, if you go in the army or whatever. This is a bigger circle, and you are also inside of this circle. So there are other people in the bigger circle, and as we go through life, what happens is we bump into people. And sometimes when we bump into them, it's not very comfortable. And then there are other times when we bump into these other selfies in the circle, and it is comfortable, and we get a hug, we get an embrace or whatever. So there is an interaction or relationship between you, your selfie, and the people around you. Now, I've drawn only 3 circles to represent, family and close relationships, but there are many circles which we are involved in with relationships, students, universities, where we work, if you go to the army and so forth. And finally, the last circle here is what I call God's universal circle of love. But in each of these situations, we are interacting with other people. During these interactions, it's important for us to remember that there are certain rules or certain laws about how we interact with people. For example, if you're in this circle here and you break the rules with your family or your church or your job, for example, you may be asked to leave this circle and go somewhere else. This circle here is, with God's universal circle of love, is also important because in this particular circle, which is universal, we are allowed to choose what we want to do with God's plan of salvation. In this universal circle of love, there are 2 options for us to think about in terms of being obedient so we can stay into the circle. The first one is accidental disobedience, and the second one is deliberate disobedience. From the spiritual perspective and point of view, the Bible even teaches that God understands when we forget things that we're supposed to do. It's the same way with children. We tell them to clean their room and they get busy and they don't do that. But that's not the same as when you stand before God, you understand what He wants you to do, and you say, I will not obey. That is deliberate disobedience. And the consequences for that is that you have to leave this circle and you have to go out to the outside. And here you will wait, as anyone would, for eternal judgment to take place. So it's important that when we are living in our circle, that we choose wisely. And that's because it affects everyone around us and also the world in which we live. So if you want to have joy and peace in your life, I encourage you to develop the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. That's how you can have a good life with those around you, and you can get lots of hugs. I like hugs. So please come and see us here in Russia. We'd be glad to have you. And we encourage you to subscribe and tell your friends.